dear students, friends, how are you? I hope we'll be celebrating health and wealth. Now, today in this session, you are welcomed at our channel Barodiya English Classes, Kota, Rajasthan. Here, the platform for the purpose of learning interaction. In our several videos, we are trying to discuss with you so that directly or indirectly it can be helpful to you, to us, either for the purpose of the academic exam or the competitive exam belonging at a standard. Today we are going to discuss about a certain literary form, dramatic monologue. In our earlier video, I have cleared that in literature, as a literary form, there are three literary forms. As today we are discussing dramatic monologue, and other one soliloquy, and the third one is aside. These are confused whether these are the same, and here I would like to clear you that it's not to be confused. These all are on the basis of their outstanding characteristics, and regarding discipline are separated, though certain similarities, due to the certain similarities in a style, these are confused. Today when we are discussing the term dramatic monologue, it is the poetic form, it's the form of the poetry. When we have the term under discussion dramatic monologue, the term dramatic ultimately clears the part of drama. Now the question is whether dramatic monologue is the part of drama. No, dramatic monologue is not the part of drama, is not drama. But it is very clear that it has dramatic characteristics. Though not fully, as in drama, the characters, the stage, presentation, other all equipments, though these are not in a dramatic monologue. But no doubt a dramatic monologue, due to the certain regarding characteristics, is regarded dramatic because there is a dialogue very first, and dialogue between two and more than two characters, and it is expressed in the colloquial conversational style as it is in drama. Let us come to very first to the origin of the word and the application of this form. Then no doubt in ancient Greek, when we come to Sophocles, the best example is Sophocles' Oedipus. In hand of Sophocles it was also used, and it was also used frequently in Elizabethan age, but purely it was refined and practiced. How? In the Victorian age, just 1575 to 1625, it is regarded the flowering age, and especially the flowering flower and the ripened fruit of a Victorian era. When we come to the dictionary term, dramatic monologue, dramatic is clear. Now the monologue. This term, this English word originated in a Greek word, and Greek word is monos. Monos means alone, and log means speech. That means a single character's speech throughout in the presence of other, and the style is, the tone is dramatic, so called or regarded dramatic monologue. Here very clear. How many characters are there in a dramatic monologue? The single speaker, the single speaker, and the mute listener. There is a single speaker, other one is the mute listener. The question arises, when the speaker is single, then how many listeners may be or should be are in the dramatic monologue? It is to be remembered that in a dramatic monologue, as a mute listener, essentially the one, and maybe more two, and then more two, but the speaker remains the single one. So it's very clear, the speaker is one, listener minimally one, and maybe more than one means two and more than two. Okay. One thing is also to be remembered, when the listener is mute, there is no dialogue, there is no interaction by the listener, then how it is to be regarded dialogue or conversational? Means it is also the characteristic of a dramatic monologue that the speaker alternatively speaks, and when a speaker alternatively speaks, he speaks behalf of the listener, as if the listener is going to utter, going to say, and just the psychological study, on the basis of psychological study, the speaker speaks, speaker utters the ideas, the dialogue of the listener. That means one thing is also clear, the purpose of the dramatic monologue. Dramatic monologue's purpose is that to disclose, as in soliloquy, to disclose the mind. But what type mind? It is the psychological study of mind, and it is frequently used by Browning. Though in Victorian era there were two men standing pillars to support a literature, Victorian literature, and frequently used in Lord Alfred Tennyson's poetry. When we go through textual references and his poems, there are so many dramatic monologues used by Tennyson. But the response credibility goes in the account of Browning, Robert Browning. And why? Because one thing, in England it was Robert Browning who refined, not only refined, but he presented so forcefully, so dramatically, so intellectually, that it was practiced later on. Though when we also try to go to its back, Milton also used, and other poets also used dramatic monologue, because later on in 16th century, dramatic monologues, shorter form, that was developed in the hand, especially Shakespeare soliloquy. So it was also used in ancient eras, in England, in Elizabethan eras, when we go through Milton's creation. Milton's Samson Agonists also full of or packed with dramatic monologues. When we come to the kinds of dramatic monologues, dramatic monologue itself can be studied or divided into two categories. Very first is the pure, and the second is the interior. Pure means here the direct, or interior means indirect. That means let us discuss what does means direct or the pure one, and what does means interior or indirect one. Here pure means when this form, this art becomes the part of literature of expression in poetry. That means the speaker as well as the listener, these both are fictitious. One thing also be in your sweet memory, it is to be noted down, it's not poet puts his dialogue into the mouthpiece of the fictitious character, and as the fictitious character listener and speaker. Direct dramatic monologue means the fictitious character, speaker, and listener, mute listener presented. But interior dramatic monologue means the fictitious character, that is the speaker one, and the other mute listener. But mute listener is only imagined, there is no presence, there is no existence. Such a type dramatic monologue is regarded interior monologue. There are so many examples to be discussed, as Tennyson's Ulysses and Robert Browning's best examples can be studied. Andrea del Sarto, and the most famous poem, the best example to be considered, My Last Duchess. Browning, as in literature, Chaucer is regarded the founding father of dialect English, and Spenser is the prince of or the English language. Likewise here, Browning is regarded the goldsmith to polish, goldsmith of letters to polish the literary form used since the creation of the word, but it was not in its polished form, and it was Browning who made it in its polished form. When we come to other characteristics, then there are so many questions time to time or frequently asked for the purpose of academic exams, and literary forms for the purpose of the competitive exams. One thing is clear, whether poet is the part of this form. In this form, poet is not part, because poet has put the idea into the mouthpiece of the depicted or the fictitious character. That means in such a poem, I is used for the speaker, fictitious character, that is the speaker of such composition, not for poet. And in other way, when we say that other characters, means the purpose of the dramatic monologue mainly is to sketch out, to portray out the character about whom spoken. But indirectly, when the speaker speaks about the third person before the second person who is the mute listener, but this speaker's character ultimately comes out. And when the speaker's character also comes out, that means dramatic monologue is the two-sided canvas, and both sides, one side has the characteristic portrait of the speaker, and the other one about whom is spoken. I think it will be helpful to you, and it's enough. We'll meet you in next video. Thank you.